on that man who's quite a bit older than him, threw him to the ground, and started stomping on his skull.
You were denied application to the apartment and you still moved in with. That's Pure Creekside Apartments versus Virginia Torres and others on behalf of Pure Creekside.
Good morning, Your Honor. Patrick Drake on behalf of plaintiff.
Good morning, Mr. Drake. And do I have someone here on behalf of Virginia Torres?
I'm right here.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you both for being here. All right, Mr. Drake, why is this eviction sought?
Thank you, Your Honor. We're here for a conduct-based eviction this morning. Ms. Torres has a number of violations that are set out in our complaint. Ms. Torres is the only person listed on this lease. However, we know that she has at least 2 other people living in this unit who are not named on the lease. That's a violation of Section 10 of her lease. One of them is named Aram Torres. Mr. Torres, we believe, is her son. He was involved in a fight, really an assault, on June 11th of this year. In addition to having individuals living in the unit, there's also an animal that lives in the unit. That animal is not authorized to be in that unit. That's a Section 12 violation of the lease. Our client has received several complaints about Mr. Torres walking that animal in common areas of the community without a leash on. On June 11th specifically, Mr. Torres was walking his dog, and one of the other guests, we believe, told him that dog needed to be on a leash. That resulted in a physical confrontation between those 2 individuals. The other individual, who also lives in the community, retreated to his truck and sat there for a period of time to calm down. Mr. Torres did sort of the opposite. He waited by the individual's home for him to come back. When that individual did finally calm down and start going back to his house, Mr. Torres, completely unprovoked, jumped on that man who's quite a bit older than him, threw him to the ground, and started stomping on his skull repeatedly. We have 3 exhibits here, Your Honor, that are statements from neighbors that all account what happened in that assault. Mr. Torres was not injured at all. The police were called to restore order to the scene. The other individual was severely injured with concussion symptoms and went to the hospital for treatment. Mr. Torres still remains in possession of this unit, along with the defendant in this case, Mrs. Torres. That dog is still in the unit. It was seen yesterday with Mr. Torres still walking that dog in a common area of the community. Those are violations of Sections 11, 10, 12, and 23 of the lease. Notice to vacate was provided. It's attached to our petition as Exhibit B, but it was provided to the defendant on June 27th, 2024. It was sent certified mail, first-class mail. We also sent a courtesy copy via email. I've got that here as Exhibit 2 if the court would like to see it. We are not seeking rent today, but we are seeking possession of the apartment based on the default of the sections we just talked about. Attorney's fees in the amount of $960, which I can testify is reasonable and necessary in this jurisdiction, and cost of court. I do have Danielle Romero here as well. She is our witness. If you have any questions for her, if you'd like me to go through a formal recitation with her, she is here to testify as well to the facts of the case. I'm happy to call her if you'd like me to.
Right. So I have a copy of the notice to vacate. You said that was delivered June 27th. It was via regular mail. And that letter is from Messner and Reeves. Mr.
Yes, Your
Drake,
Honor.
you at the top there.
Yes, Your Honor.
Let's see. And in the letter, you indicate household actions disrupted business, have threatened rights, health, and comfort and safety. Unauthorized animal. Complaints related to that activity. In your letter, you referenced the June 11th alleged situation. Mr. Torres.
I'm sorry, ma'am, did you ask me a question or?
No, I'm sorry. I'm referring that in his letter, it says that Mr. Torres, is that you, sir? Are you?
Yes, I am Mr.
Okay.
Torres.
Oh, all right. That Arham Torres, believed to be your son, was present, that an altercation involved. And then on the second page, references section 3, that you have unauthorized occupants, section 11, the rules are part of the lease, health and safety for others. Section 12, illegal pets are pets and unauthorized pets, not illegal, unauthorized pets. And section 23, that you are also in default to the lease if you, a guest or occupant, violates criminal laws, the lease, or the owner's apartment rules. Please vacate within 3 days. And then all cap are bolded and underlined. If you or anyone in acts in a manner is retaliatory, promptly addressed in a court of law. And then prohibited them from entering the on-site leasing office. Mr. Drake, you sign that. All right.
And I've got the statements, Your Honor, if you'd like to see them. Ms. Danielle Romero can testify that those were received by the office as well.
All right. Ms. Torres, good morning. Thank you for being here. Mr. Drake's the counsel. He represents the landlord Pure Creek side. And in their notice to vacate, they made several allegations. Specifically, the allegations are that there have been unauthorized occupants, that there's an unauthorized pet, and that one of your occupants or a guest was involved in a fight with another member of the community, and that is in violation of the apartment rules. Ms. Torres, are those allegations correct?
Well,
Can I let my son speak by my behalf? I'm not well right now. I've been in and out of the hospital. And no, they're not correct, Your Honor.
All right, let's go one by one. They say that you have unauthorized people, you have occupants, people living with you that are not on the lease. Is that correct? You have other people living in the apartment besides yourself?
No, ma'am. They are authorized.
I'm sorry?
what she's trying to say, Your Honor, is that we are authorized. I don't know if I can speak on behalf of my mother, if that's okay.
She'd call you as a witness, so I'm just trying to see if there's a dispute. So does the lease list, who are the people that are authorized to be there, Ms. Torres?
My son Adam Torres, and my grandbaby, Josiah Rodriguez.
Mr. Torres, does your name appear on the lease?
Yes, ma'am. It should have, because I did speak to another property manager named Gracie, and she did confirm me that I was on lease, and she did relay that information.
Do you have a copy of that?
That was just verbal, but it is recorded.
I need to see it, because Mr. Drake, take a look at the lease. Does the lease indicate they have any occupants?
No, Your Honor, it's just Ms. Torres. We have a fire drill going on. I'm going to run out of the building real quick and call on the phone. I'll be right back. But there's a lease attached to our complaint. It only has Mrs.
Go, Mr. Drake, go outside. It's a drill, but let's make sure it's a drill. We'll give him a minute, and I'll take a look at the documents, okay? And we'll just pause any testimony at the moment while This actually happened to me as an attorney. I worked at the University of Texas, and in the middle of a very intense discussion with a new client, all the fire alarms for the building went off. And I said, oh, well, we're going to need to evacuate. And he goes, well, can we just go outside? And we sat in the hall. We sat outside on the sidewalk and finished the client consultation because the student had allegedly been charged with underage drinking and was very concerned about their parents finding out. So they didn't care that there was a fire alarm and fire trucks arriving. They wanted to get that advice. So we'll allow Mr. Drake to evacuate. I hope it's just a drill.
Yeah, he put in the chat too that the
All right. Well, in the
like,
meantime, I'm going to take a
not your
look at the
fault,
lease.
but
So
yeah.
I've got the notice to vacate. Let me pull up the lease here.
Hi,
And
Your Honor.
who's speaking?
Danielle, the Assistant Community Manager at Pure Creek side. So I just wanted to jump in.
But no, Ms. Romero, just wait until Mr. Drake is back where he can communicate because he's your lawyer.
Okay.
Okay, so we're not taking any testimony. I'm just going to review that which was already filed. So we're just going to be, but then we'll absolutely give you a chance to respond and but I don't, it would be improper for me to let you speak without Mr. Drake being able to communicate and listen along. Okay, let me take a look at the lease because this was provided to the court at the time of the filing.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, well, I do hope it's just a drill.
I'm sure it is.
Okay, all right then. Mr. Drake is back with us. Ms. Torres, if you'd like to unmute. And then I did take a look at the lease that was provided. And under the lease, I can see that Ms. Torres, you're listed as a resident, but there are no occupants listed. I'm going to share my screen so y'all can look along with me and I'll show you some of the things that stood out to me on page 1. So here I can see that the resident is Ms. Torres, but there is no one listed under the section of authorized occupants whatsoever. There is a section that says there is an animal violation if you violate section 12, and that here listed there is animal rent and they're not charging anything. So there are no pets anticipated on the lease that I can see. And under section 12, it specifically explicitly says that no living creatures of any kind are allowed, even temporarily, anywhere in the apartment or the community unless written permission is provided. So, Ms. Torres, with this information, I don't see that there are any authorized occupants. Do you have anything in writing that contradicts the lease?
Well, the only thing that I can prove is that when I went to Miss Daniela, and the very first time that we got to rent this place, we presented ourselves, myself and my son. She did the contract under my name, and then she said I would put Aram in November because that's when she was gonna add Aram. I called her on the phone. Okay, now is the time for you to put Aram on the lease. Then at some point she was not there. I got to Mrs. Gracie, the other young lady that worked then after Miss Daniela, and she told me, Miss Torres, don't worry, Aram is already on the lease. Aram is already on the
So
lease.
initially at the very beginning, I was with my mom, but due to my credit and everything, I was taken off, but they did run a background check and everything.
That, Mr. Torres, that's not good for you. What you just told me is that you were denied application to the apartment and you still moved in with your mom, despite not being on the lease.
Right, but they were aware of that.
Yes,
Listen, the lease is very clear. It says no occupants, and now y'all here saying that you're an unauthorized
Yeah,
occupant.
but
You just admitted
it's also
that you have
saying
been staying there.
not, it's also saying not pets. The thing is, my cat, we're aware, they have that
Do you
information.
have a cat?
I do, they're aware of that.
It explicitly says no cats. And here's the thing. What you believe someone to be aware of and what the contract says, the contract is what I have to go by.
No, I definitely have
The
a
contract
written
doesn't allow
statement.
any pets. Do you have anything in writing that allows the pets?
Yeah, I do have a written statement regarding my cat, definitely, that I can send you.
Send that now, because right now they've already got you on lease violations, just you being there, because you're admitting that you live there, but the lease does not allow that.
Okay, give me one quick
And
second.
I'll just say that even with proof of the pet, they've still already won their case on you being present.
Okay.
And was there an altercation involving yourself and another tenant?
So what really happened was that I was in the process of walking my service animal. There's like little patches of grass that we have on the complex where they just use the restroom or whatever.
Is your cat a service animal?
He is as well. He's an emotional service animal. My
Yes.
dog is a,
So you have two pets in violation of the lease.
well, no, like I said, the
You have a
cat,
dog, you live there, and you have a cat and a dog.
the dog comes and visits, but I did provide the documentation when they asked that.
That's in violation of lease too. Like I just.
But I have that
showed
in
you the
writing
laws.
as well. But I think I did send you of me sending that information to them about the
Did they
dog.
make a change to the lease?
Yes,
Because
they did.
That's on them if they did not, but
no,
they did
it's
ask me for.
not, Mr. Torres. This may be a good information for you and your mom. Once you've agreed in writing to something, the
Mhm.
only way to get it changed is in writing. Me notifying my landlord that I'm going to pay the rent late doesn't allow me to pay it late.
Okay.
Me telling you I'm standing you up for a date doesn't make me not stand you up for the date. You can still say I never want to see you again. And that's in essence what you're telling me is that, well, I told the landlord I was going to break the lease, so that made it okay. That's not the
No.
same thing as the landlord agreeing to modify the agreement and then you changing it.
But I do have like I said, I do have
All
those
the proof that we sent, all the
that we sent
paperwork.
that but I can screenshot that and then send it to you right now. Just give me a quick sec. It's because it's a little bit difficult because it zooms into the photos and it doesn't really give an option, but I think you'll be able to read it or see it.
Because we even presented the cat to them on the beginning.
Yeah.
And they said that we needed those paperwork so they can allow for him to have the cat. And the dog travels with me back and forth because he's a support animal for my son and for my own self as well.
Would I
So I
send,
travel with him.
do I send it to the same email on the, okay.
Mr.
Then-
Drake, would you like to call your witness? Because they're saying that they had authorization, even though the lease does not include that. I'm just curious. What information
Yeah.
might Mr. Romero be able to
I
share?
certainly can, Your Honor. I can certainly call her. My understanding is they were in the process of adding Mr. Aram Torres and another individual to the lease. They did talk about the animals, but at this date, nothing has been signed by both parties to actually add them to the lease or add that animal. I would state also my understanding is an animal is either a service animal or an emotional support animal, but not both. And it certainly can't be a service animal to two different individuals. I can call Ms. Ramiro to explain all of that to you, but I believe that's what the status of the case is right now.
All right, two
He
things
is
real quick.
applied.
Hold on. Monique, will you put our email address in the chat box for Mr. Torres?
Yes, ma'am. I'm working on it right now.
All right. Ms. Romero,
Yes, ma'am.
all right. Do you understand you're being sworn to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
Yes.
All right. I've been shown a lease by counsel that indicates there was a lease with Ms. Torres, but the lease does not indicate on the lease. There's no indication that there are any occupants or pets. If the tenant, when they rented, was going to have her son live with her, would he have been listed as an occupant?
He would have, yes, but he was not at that time.
All right. And how about pets? Does the property allow pets?
We do. We were aware on their when Virginia signed her lease, we were aware of Orbit, the emotional support cat, which is why there's $0 for animal rent because it's an emotional support animal. So we were not charging them for that, but we were aware that they did have Orbit, the cat, in the home at that time. However, we were never aware of a dog emotional support animal ever until the incident happened on property.
How
Who
would I
was
know?
off who was off a leash, which is
Ms.
also a
Ms.
violation.
Romero, how would I know a cat was authorized when it's not in the lease?
We have documentation for the cat.
I didn't receive that, right? I got a standard TA lease that doesn't indicate there are any addendums, nothing. So, right, how would I know
That's
that a
right,
cat
Your
was allowed?
It's not in writing by the parties, Your Honor. It's not part of the lease at all. It says that it's not allowed.
Ms. Romero just told me that they knew she had an emotional support cat.
I'm just answering, Your Honor, that it's not part of the lease at all. They did not include it in any of the documentation that the animal's there. And honestly, it's not part of our case. We didn't file this because of a cat. That's not mentioned in the notice to vacate or the lawsuit. And I don't believe I mentioned it in my recitation. It's about the dog and the fight that happened and the fact that these men are still living in this unit.
Yeah, no, the notice to vacate doesn't bring up the cat. I grant you that. Like, that's true. In the notice to vacate, the things that are highlighted are you have an unauthorized animal, a dog. So it's about a dog, the owner getting complaints related to the dog being there. Your roommate, Arhem Torres, believed to be your son, was present in a common area with the dog.
You can just call me Autumn, Judge, Your Honor. I just prefer to be called Autumn. You can
okay.
see them.
And so then the specific violations alleged on page 2 are section 3, no one may reside who's not named on the lease or and approved by the owner in writing. Section 11, you agreed owner rules are part of the lease. Section 12, behaving in a loud or obnoxious manner, disturbing or threatening the rights, comfort, and safety. And section 23, in default if your guest or occupant violates the criminal laws, the lease, or the owner's apartment rules. And
12's the animal violation, Your Honor. I'm sorry. 12's the animal violation. 11 is about conduct and being obnoxious and fighting.
You agree that no animal may be present. So section 3, unauthorized document. Section 11, violation of the rules. Section 12, animal present without permission. And section 23, your guest or occupants violate the apartment rules. Where would I get a copy of the apartment rules?
Your Honor, Ms. Romero would have them for sure. I can get them to you. I just can't do it outside this building, but I certainly can send you the rules. I also have 3 statements from the neighbors about the fight that happened with Mr. Ramiro and his dog, and I have his statement as well that he was involved in that altercation.
Were those
And
submitted in advance?
No, Your Honor, they're just part of our exhibits today, and I've got them on my computer ready to pull up as soon as I can get back to my computer. There's a few more elevators that need to go up before I can get up there.
All right, well, let's start with the easy one, the unauthorized occupant. So, Ms. Torres, your lease does not in writing include that you're going to have any roommates or occupants whatsoever. So do you have anything in writing that contradicts the lease, which says it's just going to be you?
No, ma'am, because since the beginning, Ms. Romero knew everything. And if there's cameras on their office,
I
they know.
get that. I'm just saying that the contract doesn't allow it.
Unfortunately, we don't have anything in writing. We just have
Okay.
a recording.
All right, let's talk about the dog. So Ms. Romero says that they knew you had a cat and that it was a service cat, so they weren't worried about the cat. How about the dog? Do you have anything in writing that authorizes you to have the dog there?
Yeah,
So I just sent you stuff through the email. I don't know if you were able to receive it.
It's got to go through our firewall, and my clerk Monique will let me know once it's there. She'll update it for me. All right, and then how about the violation? Are you familiar? Are there any rules about how to handle dogs on the premises? Are they required to be leashed?
From what I'm understanding, to be honest, Your Honor, majority of the time I usually just walk my. It's because there's a gas station.
Mr. Torres, answer the question I asked. Are you aware? Do the rules for the apartment require dogs to be leashed?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And did you walk your dog with a leash? Yes or no?
No.
Cool. So that's a lease violation right there, right?
Okay, that's why you need to send us photos.
So you were not obeying the rules as required by the lease, ignoring the fact that you're unauthorized to be there and that we don't have any proof that the dog can be there. Even if I overlook both of those, you were breaking the rules by not having your dog leashed.
I was in the process of getting him leashed, but no, I didn't have a leash at the time.
So the answer is yes, you were breaking the rules by not having the dog leashed.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. And the lease says that you're responsible, Ms. Torres, for any violations of the rules by your guests or occupants. So even if I assumed he was just a guest and it was his dog, him not walking the dog with a leash is a violation for which they can evict you.
He was always on the leash all the time. It happened that
Mr. Torres just admitted it wasn't on a
Oh,
leash.
no, I'm not contradicting that means. I'm saying
Okay,
it was
do you
very
understand
close
what
to
I'm
the
saying
park.
then?
Yes, ma'am. It was very close to
The
the park.
fact that he walked the dog without a leash, in and of itself, even if he was just visiting you one day, is sufficient for them to evict you under the lease.
Okay, ma'am.
They don't have to be generous. They don't have to give you a lot of options. If they want to be strict and say this one violation is enough, they can do that.
Yes, we do understand that the state of Texas favors the landlords a lot more. We get that.
It's not the state, it's the lease itself, right? Their lease says you're going to follow the rules, and you didn't follow the rules, and unfortunately, that infraction is enough to have your mom evicted. And that's even if I give you your best inference to the other things, that I don't find you're an unauthorized occupant, that I don't find the dog is in violation. Even if you were just visiting your mom as a guest, completely viable under the lease, the fact that you walked your dog without a leash is in and of itself sufficient for them to evict your mom.
So can we send those photos?
It won't make any difference, Ms. Torres. That's my point. Is that
Okay.
even construing the best options to you, even if I say your son was an authorized occupant and the dog was allowed, the fact that he walked the dog without a leash is sufficient for them to evict you. They only have to get one violation. It doesn't require that it be a huge violation or that they have a whole lot. I mean, they're alleging a whole lot, but even if I construe everything in your favor, the fact that the dog was unleashed when it was walked, that's sufficient in and of itself. All right. Well, they're not seeking anything other than possession, so there's no monetary judgment in favor of the plaintiff for back rent. Mr. Drake, you said that you were seeking attorney's fees, and please tell me about those attorney's fees.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have 3 hours of time on this case as attorneys. I'm a 17-and-a-half-year attorney in Texas. I have been practicing landlord-tenant law in and around Travis County for about 16 years. I'm a partner with the firm of Messer Reeves. My rate is $320 an hour. That's a reasonable rate for a almost 18-year attorney in Texas. We spent 3 hours of time on this case. We spent an hour of time talking with our client, reviewing all the documents, another hour drafting the notice to vacate and delivering it to the defendants, another hour preparing the petition, preparing for trial today, and now presenting it. I think 3 hours is a reasonable amount of time to spend on this case. 3 times 320 is 960. And I would testify that 960 is a reasonable amount to award the plaintiff for its attorney's fees in this case, should it prevail, and I pass myself.
All right. And then the monthly rent is $13.28. Is that correct?
Your Honor, I don't have the lease in front of me. I'm sorry.
Okay,
I believe
I'm
it's in
looking
the
at it.
petition.
Ms.
Okay.
Torres, under the lease, is the monthly rent $13.28?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
That's correct.
Okay. Then court would find in favor of the plaintiff for a lease violation eviction. It would be awarding possession and attorney's fees of $960 plus cost of court. And then if either party wishes to appeal it, the appeal bond would be 1 month of rent, $13.28. All right. And we will send information to both parties. Ms. Torres, we're going to send you a packet of information about the appeal if you wish to pursue it. Remember, you have at least 5 days. If you don't take any action, it's only on day 6 or thereafter that the landlord can actually make you move. Otherwise, you have at least 5 more days. Okay?
The only thing that I wanted to bring you to your attention, Miss, when I went to Ms. Romero on the 5th of July, that I was looking for my receipt because they did accept the rent. And when I was there with Ms. Romero and I said, Ms. Romero, where is my receipt for my rent? And then she said, you don't have to worry, ma'am, you are a renter, because I went to ask her for my bracelets for the pool, because they had sent me like a notification that they were enforced it. And then I said, Ms. Romero, because I need the bracelets because they never gave it to me since day one, as well as the other manager, Mr. Mike, never wanted to give me the code for me to come in and out of the property. Never wanted to give me the code. I had to wait for somebody to come in for me to walk in. And I always felt very unwelcome. And even though that I went beyond trying to be kind to Ms. Romero, I did everything that it was in my heart. Look at my age. I don't want to lose my credit. My credit stands for me. I don't want to lose my credit because I feel in my heart, Ms. Romero knows how we came here and she accepted that she was going to put my son in November. And then the young lady, Gracie, put my son in the thing. And we had that recording where she said, don't worry about it. Adam's already on the list.
Ms. Torres, the violation that I found occurred today is not because your son is there, although the lease doesn't include him. So next time you do that, get him on the lease. Make it very, very clear and get proof in writing. The violation that I found today that your son acknowledged is walking the dog without a leash. And that's a violation of the apartment rules. Okay? But they're not saying you didn't pay your rent. That was never an allegation. So it's not about finances.
Then I will send some photos, I guess, when I do the appeal about what they're talking, animals being out the leash.
Well, I already sent that to her.
Okay.
Okay. The fact that other animals are also unleashed is not a defense to them evicting you. It just means that everyone could be evicted for that. The landlord doesn't have to be fair, and they don't have to be equal in how they pursue it. If they decided they want to evict you because of a violation, they can. Okay? I know that's frustrating, but good luck to you both. Again, you have at least 5 days to seek an appeal. If not, the landlord cannot make you move before then,
When
okay?
are we supposed to get out?
Hold on. Is that information going to be sent to?
Probably by the end of today, you'll get a copy of the order from the court with that information.
Hasta cuándo vamos a estar aquí?
And that's going to be through email?
Correct. If we received your email at check-in, we'll make sure you get an emailed copy.
But then it's because I know you're talking about the eviction thing and that 27th thing. It's because that wasn't received until July 3rd. I know it's dated June 27th, but I didn't receive it in my mailbox until that day.
Yeah, well, they mailed it. The mailbox rule is 3 days.
Okay. Well, the thing is, I check my mailbox every day and I didn't get it until that day. That's what I'm trying to explain. So when are we supposed to, I guess,
Move
leave?
out.
It's because even before any of this even happened,
They knew we were gonna move out.
yeah, they were ready.
If you don't move out, if you don't appeal, the landlord after the next 5 days can seek a writ of possession. And day 1 is tomorrow. The
Okay, so-
soonest the landlord could make you move out legally is the day following the appeals period. And you get at least 5 days to appeal. Day 1 is tomorrow.
And then what did you say about did you say the weekend doesn't count or?
Correct. If day 5 falls on a weekend, you get until the following business day that we're open, so until
Okay.
Monday.
Okay. Okay.
Those are great questions. We're always happy because I always say you're dealing with a housing situation. I took out loans to learn this,
Okay.
right? So this is not logical, common sense things. This is the law, and it can be its own little thing. So we'll send you information about the appeal process, including some resources that you can contact, and then those people can give you very detailed information with your specific fact pattern about what may be best, how to pursue it, and what to do next. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds
Good
good.
luck.
Thank you.
ma'am.
God bless you, ma'am.
Thank you. All parties are excused.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a great weekend.
Good luck to everyone. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
I'm glad it wasn't a fire, Mr. Drake. That's. Yeah. Luckily, we've not had that happen here during court. I think that would probably cause all kinds of fun things. Okay, then we're with 24894. Iron Rock Ranch